See Control show. This show this week is going to be based on
What up?
filling your life with worry and ruining your whole life experience. So uh, we put "Don't Worry Your Life Away." We'll probably change the title, but for lack of good ideas and really kind of for us trying to just get something on the board because we've missed the last 2 weeks. Last Thursday was Thanksgiving. Week before that got late from us trying to figure out what we're gonna do. So here we are back after a little hiatus, and it's based on if you're worried about whatever it is you're worried about, and you're panicking and you're stressed and you're super out of it. To where your life experience becomes nothing but panic if you keep doing that about every situation, as opposed to understanding that this moment too shall pass. So, understanding the attitude to have while you're going through some stuff that's tough, so that really that equals your life. I find myself, having a week of stressful situation and having a really shitty week and not enjoying my week, and it was a very bad life experience for that whole week, only to come out on the other side of it in great shape and being like, man, I just wasted my whole life. So really, even though I came out okay, I had a really terrible week when I should have, if I would have known how it was going to turn out, I would not have been so upset all week, and I would have treated people better. I would have had a better time and been less short with my wife and kids and people around me. So that's what this episode is about. Is about ultimately what that is if that happens through the duration of your life, day to week to month to year to decade. You can have a really crappy life. If you let every situation get to you and you stress about it before you realize that things work out. So that's what this is about. What do you have to say about that, Will?
You know, one of my best qualities is my imagination, and it also happens to be an extremely kind of quality I gotta be careful about because I can imagine things that haven't even happened yet. It's like an overkill. I can sit by myself and think of scenarios. The key is to not, you know, let it affect me emotionally, right? But they do. So with my imagination, I can make up stuff that's going on in my life and may not know what, let's say, someone else is thinking. Or like I just recently have been going through a tough personal family situation, and it's gotten me down. Even this last Thanksgiving, I had a difficult time, and it's the past couple years has been difficult in this particular part of my life, and just keeping a good positive attitude about it is extremely challenging because when not knowing anything for someone like me is really tough because I can easily make up a negative situation easier than a positive one sometimes. And then depending on what I'm going through throughout my day and how I'm getting attacked and whether I properly prepared myself for that day or not, I can allow stuff to affect me negatively and act negatively and go down a path that I'm stressing over things that in the end I'm noticing that I didn't have to stress out this whole time about. Kind of. you know, um, I can't tell you how many times I've made up a scenario in my head and then found out at the end that I was completely wrong. And thank God I wasn't like tripping over my thoughts or believing them, just maybe over analyzing, realizing, wow, none of that happened. I've even been in relationships where I've made up stuff and realized, because something going on and making up something that's happened, and then finally get in contact with the person and realize it was nowhere near what I was thinking, you know? So I have to be, so this whole thing about worrying for no reason, having the imagination that I have to be careful, very careful of always trying to look at everything as a positive. Because if I don't, I can, like that, start having a negative conversation. And then start worrying about something that hasn't even happened yet. And start making up future scenarios implanted into things I'm trying to achieve accidentally, and turn a conversation in my head negative, and then just worrying about what someone else is or isn't doing, and how it's affecting me and my day, and going to work and graduating from work and going on to the next thing. It's extremely important to, as much as possible, just vibrate at a high level at all times, especially during those hard times. And I just recently was able to be in the moment, because on Thanksgiving, right, I really like broke down everything that was going on, and it kind of broke me down for a while there, most of the day. um, but in that moment and knowing this information, I've learned that, sometimes you have to embrace the negativity. You have to embrace those emotions that I have had bottled up. I need to embrace them and be open to them, instead of turning them away, or automatically, when I go down that route, cancel. And I'm on to thinking positive and changing it and doing something else, and not always acknowledging it, just always wanting to be in that positive headspace and mindset. But this Thanksgiving, I really took a moment and reflected, and ownership. I took ownership. I wish I would have like told myself at the moment I was taking 100% responsibility, but it was almost like I was kind of doing it anyways, with how real I got with myself, and facing the mistakes I made, and soaking in all that negative feelings I had about the mistakes I've made in this certain part of my life. And in that moment, I was able to turn my back to those negative feelings, and feeling sorry for myself, and feeling sorry how it affected this other person. And, am I a good person or a bad person, a good father or a bad father? All of this stuff. I was able to turn my back on all of that and come up with a new plan to, what am I going to do from here to fix it and feel better about it and make the situation better. And I immediately turned my back to all of that kind of got me to break down most of the day. Turned my back to it and focused on what I'm going to do now to fix it and make it better and make it right, and redeem myself to myself and others, and sent out that energy, and even called upon family to help me in my new mastermind and my new goal for this next year. And it wasn't but just a couple of days ago an opportunity has come that's a good opportunity, showing that I've already started making changes in the right direction on that specific subject. So just by, so there you go. Now, before all of that, I have been going through a very tough time of panicking, not and worrying and stressing and taking myself to dark places and making things up and having it affect my daily self, and then was able to reflect on that this Thanksgiving and vibrate better. And now the situation has already changed in a drastic way just by taking ownership and changing my vibration. And now I feel like, and here's another thing too, I feel like I'm starting to become like, it's hammer's starting to come down to my goal that I made for the end of this year, this time last year, this next month, here on New Year's, coming closer to our mastermind goal. Um, and I'm noticing that and then just things going on. I cannot. I'm really excited to see how the end of this year is going to unfold, because there is so much stuff going on showing me that it is so time, and these things are so going to happen. Things are happening at my daily work that are like, wow, it is time. Things are happening in my personal life, like, wow, it is time, like, to reach these goals. Like, everything is starting to unfold, and and I'm sitting here, like, actually ahead, not ahead, but behind, but open enough to, like, watch it unfold and see and watch it play out. And it's really exciting. But also, I'm finding it frustrating because I'm 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 getting a lot of resistance. And I feel like I'm getting a lot of resistance because I'm getting closer to my main game. And by being closer to my main game, I'm getting a lot more resistance for me not to achieve it. Even in just, I mean, the little things, like harder to maintain the proper level of gratitude, the proper level of appreciation for where the position I'm in, and grateful for, you know my job that allows me to do this show and other things, you know and I'm finding it harder and harder to deal with the basic stuff going on in my life, as my energy is at the point of the goal time and ready to make the next maneuver and achieve these goals, so I can set the next one, because I'll be able to now see further. And I have this win now that I can take with me and vibrate in winter, and the action and the mistakes and need to double down on. It's pretty exciting. So I just kind of wanted to touch on that a little bit too. Like, it's becoming harder to vibrate at a high level during the hard times, the closer I get to achieving my goals, because I feel like I'm right there. And not only that, but things that I did not expect to happen are starting to show up now, that just shows me even more that I got to push harder, because the next level of change is coming. So the worrying and those things that I'm having a hard time with, there's you start realizing because now I got an opportunity now to really that just randomly showed up in the hardest part that I'm going through in my life, and it just kind of sews up this whole time now of how, man, you really just do need to keep a positive attitude and be careful not, and I do, but as I said, it's challenging, and sometimes I do go off the rails, but I'm able to come back as well because it's not you become what you think about. It's you become what you think about most of the time because just never just gonna think positive all the time. You're gonna have negative thoughts. We're all humans, right? Like, but it's what it's what you believe in. It's what you're obsessed in with. That what's what you are obsessed with that you're thinking about all the time. Those are the things you create in your life. You are gonna think negatively sometimes or have negative thoughts, but it's not like, oh, you're going to create those things because you thought of them. You know, that's not how it works. It's just what you're thinking about most of the time. What are you obsessed with? What do you believe you can achieve? Now you do have to be careful of how often you let yourself stay in those negative mindsets. How often you let yourself, if you ever let yourself think you can't do this, do that, you do have to be always on high alert of that type of stuff. But it's what you become what you think about most of the time. A high belief is this is gonna happen. Not to try and get off a little bit, but you know, kind of for myself, all of this is kind of all together. Because I have been panicking and stressing about some things, and then realizing now that the opportunities have come that I didn't have to panic those times. I didn't have to go down those dark roads when I did. Now thank God because of this information, I didn't let it go too far, or think about it too much. But it's man. So the key here is being able to check yourself and make sure you're vibrating at a high level and a positive level during the hard times when you're not seeing results and you're questioning if what you're doing is even working. When you're at your brokest moments, when you're at the most challenging points in your life, that's when you have to be vibrating a winner, vibrating the most. That's what is most important, that you're vibrating a millionaire, vibrating I am successful, even when it doesn't look like you are, because the success doesn't create the attitude. The attitude creates the success. That's all I kind of got on that, I guess.
Yeah, I think that's well said. From a standpoint of, I mean, what we were trying to get at was like, making sure you understand that, freak your life away, like literally, like be so upset about a situation that is eventually going to figure itself out, something that's eventually going to turn out okay, to where you've now ruined that last amount of time you've been freaking out. for it to be okay. It's like, imagine playing a football game and the whole time you're like, oh my God, we're going to lose, we're going to lose, we're going to lose, and you win. How was that football game experience? Did you have so much fun out there winning? Like, no, because I was shitting my pants the whole time thinking, we're going to lose, we're going to lose, we're going to lose. You know, like, and you ended up winning. You have to, like, change your attitude in the game. You know, and it's crazy. It's like I found myself doing this a lot. I don't know, like 6 months out of COVID or into COVID happening, and literally freaking out because like I had lost my job because COVID. The company shut down in that division. And then went to work for myself, but I couldn't work for myself because how I work for myself, the place I source products from was shut down. So I couldn't actually buy the products to source for that. And that it in itself had really slowed me down. And then the place where I was selling my product from was shutting me down. And I had all these things happening. I still had to somehow feed my kids and make it all happen like I never lost a job. And man, I was flipping out, stressing, scrambling, freaking out. And it was like easily a probably 3-week period of like freaking out in my inside. I couldn't sleep at night. And it turned out. And it worked out. Here I am. This is a year and a half later. Completely fine, but I was in that time I thought the world's gonna end, but really it's like at the end of the day, just you can get a different job, you'll figure it out. You could downsize houses if you wanted, you could sell one of your fucking 800 cars and dirt bikes, you know. You could do there's so much like what are you freaking out about? Like you're breathing still, right? So it really made that experience that should have been a really cool experience in time very shitty, you know. And it's like, what's that memory like? Well, I was freaking out and stressed out during that time. I got about 100 other gray hairs, and it's like, why? I mean, you that whole time you got rich. It's like, yeah, but I didn't think like that, right? It's like a lot of these people that get rich and then they have more things to deal with, and then they stress out and die over it, you know. Like, really, what was the point of that? You got rich to just have more issues, but you have to realize at the end of the day you're still rich. It's like, for instance, there's a book I read, and this guy ends up like, he's got like something like $16 billion, and he lost something like 10 billion. And so all he had was 6 billion left, and he was so upset. And I'm off on the numbers a little bit, but the point is still there. He was so upset he killed himself. He was still a 6 billionaire. Okay, he still had $6 billion, but he was so messed up that he made this gamble on his money with a business deal that he lost 10 billion. He couldn't handle it and killed himself. He was so sad that he only had 6 billion. I mean, you're still a 6 billionaire. That's 6 billion more dollars than I have. And I'm not even sort of wanting to kill myself. And he killed himself. True story. Literally lost 10 billion and one day was flipped out about it, like, oh my God, I lost 10 billion. What am I going to do? Dude, you still have 6 billion in the bank. Like, what are you worried about? You got 6 billion. Oh my God, that's 6,000 millions. That's 6,000 millions. You could make 6,000 people millionaires right now. 6,000 people, you could just hand $1 million to each one of them. Here's $1 million for you, $1 million for you, $1 million for you, $1 million for you. 6,000 times. You couldn't even do that in, a week's period. You'd take that long to hand out your millions. So that said, he killed himself. You could make 6,000 people like feed their family for the rest of their lives. 6,000 people killed himself because you just missed the point of like where you get so stuck in the moment he forgot that, whoa, wait, I still have $6 billion. You know, so again, like in the time when I was so stressed out about like where I was and what was I gonna do, it was a crappy memory in my life, you know, as opposed to a great memory where it's like, dude, that was a time when you like persevered and like you made it through all the bullshit. You have to understand you're gonna get through it. So it's like, it's unnecessary panic and stress and worry. You have to get past it. I think of the times when I worked for Office Depot and it was like so much stress and worry because my boss to come and look at my shelves and they might have been messy. Like, you know, and stressing out. Like, I'm talking to the next level, like, so stressed over some dumb shit. Like, at the end of the day, like, here's my keys, like, quit, I'll get a different job, you know, like, is it that bad? Is it life or death? And I remember every morning thinking, dude, if you get in a wreck in the car right now and you were, like, in a gutter, the last thing you would think about is your boss walking your store. You know, like, but you just get caught up in this bullshit and you have to realize and look at bigger picture. You got to look more on a macro instead of a micro scale to think like that. And it's really trying to figure out and it's going to take you figuring that out. There's nothing we can say here. What's it going to take for you to understand what it takes for you to, you know, think on a macro level? What matters to you? Are your kids breathing? Are you breathing? Are you in a good health? Because I know I had a homie just pass away from cancer, and it's like the last thing he would have cared about is anything that stresses me out. He'd have been like, I'm just so happy I have another day to breathe. So you really have to think like that. It's perspective is a massive thing, you know. And so you've got to really figure out what is that for you? Like, I noticed this morning I was really upset with my wife and really annoyed by her because she's been in a mood lately, and I just wanted to be mad at her. And I thought, you know what? I have 2 beautiful kids that are breathing. I love my wife. She's a good mother. She loves me. She's going through some dumb shit. Just go give her a hug, even though I didn't want to. I wanted to just walk out, go to do my work that I do, and be done. Just like, be like, whatever. Like, let me show her. And I said, you know what? I'm just going to give her a hug, give her a kiss, tell her I love her, and act like that's all good. And get over myself. Get over what is going to make me. And man, I felt so good after that. You know, just like doing something against what I felt like doing. You know? And as much as I would, like, what's natural to me is to leave and then just be like, you know, because that would have been like, next thing I got a car wreck or died, and I would have been like, damn, was that the way I wanted to leave shit, you know? And it's tough to do that, you know. You think about it, and it's like that's hard to do, but you know, you really got to get over the stressful side of it and really perspective. Like, you're breathing air. You could be living in a fucking tent and still be happy. Don't let all your goals and money ambitions make it to where you start thinking that's what matters, because that's just the cherry on top. At the end of the day, you still got the freaking beautiful hot fudge sundae. Who cares about the cherry on top? You want to be rich and be a billionaire. That shit don't matter. You're breathing air. You're still on the roller coaster. Enjoy the fucking roller coaster that is life. You're still on it. Just because you didn't get an extra loop-de-loop doesn't mean like you get off the ride going, I fucking hated this ride. It was terrible. Take me out of here. Nah, man, you're still on the roller coaster. You have to enjoy it and realize you're still on the roller coaster no matter how rich you are, poor you are, what you're dealing with. If you're in your car for the next 4 months, you know, whatever that is, you'll be out of your car, in your house, podcasting. You know, Like,
Real talk.
shit's real, bro. Like at the end of the day, like you could have got caught up in that moment and really done some shit that people would have been like, yeah, I totally get it. You know, it's like no, like this shit will pass. So it's a big thing. Like for me, I was just thinking about like you start to stress out and you go, you know what? Who cares? At the end of the day, we're gonna figure it out. We'll find a way. You're gonna breathe air again. You know, say you lose your house and you lose all your shit, and at some point you'll pull out of it. Look at Kanye West. 3-4 years ago now, he's in the whole 250 million. He now has 9 billion. At the time, everyone's like, yeah, he's losing. He's going to go bankrupt. It's like, well, now he's at $9 billion. Richest black man out there. Like, come on, dude. You know, and regardless of black or white, but the point is, one of the richest people in the world. See, like, do you think about that? From being 230 million in the hole. You're thinking, I'm worried about like $20,000 in debt. Going, fuck, I got 20,000 in the hole, man. Like, you know, this guy's 230 million. You're thinking, I'll never fucking pay that off. I'm fucked. You know, like, to fucking 9 billion. Yeah, you just can't trip on. And I'm sure the whole time he was stressing out about that situation, he wishes he wouldn't have, because it turned out to where now he's a 9 billionaire. And he was. That really messed him up at that time. And I remember at the time he was snapping. He was on like Sway in the Morning. He absolutely lost his shit. Like, you don't understand what I'm going through because of that specific debt he was talking about. You don't got the answer, Sway. He's saying to Sway in the Morning, and like flipping out on him where that became a catchphrase. Like, you don't got the answer, Sway. Like, everyone says that shit as a joke, you know, like, because he was snapped so hard on him. And then Sway even asked him, like, hey, we could step outside, I'll fucking whip your ass, you know. But like that's the whole thing is like, he wishes he wouldn't have done that, you know, because at the end of the day, now he's at 9 billion. He didn't need to stress that whole fucking time. I mean, at the end of the day, he's doing just fine. He's 230 million in the hole, yet he's still got his mansion and Lamborghinis. You know, like, he could be doing a lot worse than that. There's so many other people that are like 10,000 in debt, still driving a fucking beat down fucking Honda Accord or taking the bus. You know, like, it's like, that's like, anyway, stop worrying about some dumb shit, because you'll get through it. That's it. Like, comment, subscribe, hit that notification bell. Again, comment, hit it up. We haven't got any subscribers lately. We're going to have to refigure out how to do like channel tags, a bunch of shit I just learned about. But when you do catch on to this, like, comment, subscribe, hit that notification bell. Peace.
Peace.